Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek. Welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to Around the Majors, and welcome back to my good, close personal friend Jesse Litsch, former Toronto Blue Jay, new dad, a manager, and of course the broadcasting legend, Stormin Norm Rumack. First of all, I mentioned new dad. How does it feel, Jesse? You're a daddy.
Yeah, it's fun for sure. It's a fun process. Getting plenty of sleep finally, so that helps the process for sure. But it's just a day-to-day thing now, and do the dad stuff and baseball at the same time.
How old's the little girl?
She's almost 5 months.
5 months. Wow, wow. All right, we're gonna start here talking of baseball. We're about 35 games into the season and all that. Um, let's say I'm going to start with the Blue Jays here. Up and down, pitching have been not bad. The offense has been terrible. This is a beginning struggle, and this last all year.
Honestly, you got some core bats in there. It's just a matter of putting stuff together. I mean, hitting is a tough thing for sure. It's a game of failure, but it just takes a couple 3 days of good hitting, as a team to push through stuff. So, hopefully that's the process for them, but in the long run, it's a long season. So, I think they're close to 500 right now, and if they can put together a good week or two and get the ball rolling throughout and going into the All-Star break, I think that would definitely help.
Do you wish that you started pitching 10 years later because you see Vlad $600 million deal? What was the most you made that way?
Yeah, honestly, if I pitched nowadays, I probably wouldn't even make it. The game has changed so much. I never really was a fireballer, so I pretty much everyone on the team now throws 95, and it doesn't matter what team you're on, where you're at in the bullpen, the starting rotation. Somebody there throws 95 and not do. So obviously the money is huge. For me, it was a couple years arbitration, which was great, 1 year away from free agency, but it's the game is evolving a lot. Guys are making money. I think that every team is trying to make that centerpiece of their organization to kind of build around. And obviously with Vladdy, that's what Toronto's doing. Shohei in LA, among others as well. It's just a matter of putting the cards together and hoping that it works out.
Okay, go ahead, Norm.
Yeah. Jesse, my original prediction, for what it's worth, which isn't much, was that the AL East might be the closest it's ever been, and it's already been competitive and close for the last several years. Injuries aside, obviously, Baltimore, I think, has got some injury issues. Tampa Bay always has the third to fifth lowest payroll, and yet somehow they find players, develop players, move players on, get new players. They probably do that better than anybody considering their payroll. So my original prediction was I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season, pending injuries to key players, which can affect any team, including the Yankees, who are currently, riding pretty high. My original thought was from top to bottom in the AL East, there could be a margin as narrow as 5 or 6 games between top and bottom at the end of the year if it's a level playing field in terms of injuries. Do you think that's a reasonable prediction for the AL East, Jesse?
Yeah, I think the game has come to there's arms. The arms this year have been impressive. On all ends, and it's already a tough game to hit. But you start throwing 100 consistently, and guys coming out of the pen in the sixth inning, your bullpen's pretty much shut down. If you get to the seventh, eighth inning, that helps the process for sure. There's definitely been some high scoring games, but majority have been low scoring, and it's something that I think is going to throughout the year is going to stay the same. I think Baltimore eventually, once people get off the IL, they're gonna take a notch up. But the teams that are at the top are always at the top for a reason. And you say development, like the Rays develop definitely some of the best players. The way throughout the minor leagues, and I've known some kids that have been down there. But I think it's becoming more relevant throughout the league with their organizations. So it should be fun, the next 10 years coming through with some of these young players, but who knows what the velocity is going to come. We might see 110 someday. Who knows?
So you were playing. You said a lot of change nowadays compared to when you were playing. Can you pinpoint one or two major changes?
I mean, just the analytical side of it. I mean, the game has become very analytical, and I think being it like I managed in the Florida League now, I managed in the draft league for a couple of years. I've been around the analytics side of it, and I can understand why they're doing it, and then I can understand the other side of it as well. Putting the old school with the new school, I think is definitely going to be huge. It's just some organizations have to come back to the middle grounds with that process. But the analytics, just utilizing, being able to see the biomechanics, being able to see just one delivery that can change, a player's career is huge. And that right there is something I wish I would have had back then. I don't know that I would have utilized it. I have no idea because I did all right for myself. But maybe it could have prevented some injuries. Maybe it could have prevented some other stuff. But the hitting side of it is the same, like launch angle, exit velocity. Like there's a lot less averages now and more home runs and more strikeouts, which is where the game has gone. But there's still guys there's still guys out there that are hitting for average, and there's guys hitting for average with home runs. So like we'll see where it goes in about 5 years, but the game, that part of it has changed a lot. You're not necessarily pitching to contact anymore. You're pitching to home runs essentially.
And you mentioned you're a manager now. Take us through former pitcher, now manager. Which one you like better, and how's your team doing?
I mean, I obviously, I miss the pitching aspect of it. I think, being a competitor is awesome, but being on the other side of it, managing, I mean, I love it. It's right now I'm in the Florida Collegiate League. We don't start up for another month, but doing it in the draft league, doing it here, like it's been fun. Like we've had multiple draft picks over the last 3 years, and I think probably around 30, 35. So it's been a great process being able to coach that and see that, and try and help them, develop whatever they can to help them when their transition easier. That's kind of my mindset is if I can make their transition easier into pro ball, that's what I'm doing it for.
Go ahead, Norm.
Yep. Yes, I remember years ago when Pat Gillick was still around, he was telling me that's when, towards the end of his career, about the time he moved on to the Phillies, the stats and the scouting and stats put together were important, or becoming more important. And Pat Gillick told me he still liked, as you addressed, from the old school, to have the eyeball test. And you were talking about that or alluding to that yes, all those stats and X this, expected runs, expected home runs, expected hits, expected outs, all the X factors that are used in every sport now across the world are important. But Pat Gillick felt you can't replace the eyeball test, and it seems you were alluding to that now, especially having seen the game from a managerial point of view.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's only so much you can tell a player. Like you have different, everyone comes from a different spot. Like you got kids that come from a high school, you got kids that come from Duke or somewhere that they're probably a lot smarter, and you give them the analytical mindset of things and how to do it. But like the realistic part of it is they still got to go out there and do it, and you got to be able to throw the ball where the papers tell you to throw the ball. If you don't throw it there, that's when you get into trouble. And that's obviously the difference between minor leaguers and major leaguers. Like I think that's a big play into it as well. Like we can see everything. Like that's the visual part of the game. But like for them to go out there and be a player and actually have to do, that's the hardest part. And that again is why there's minor leaguers, major leaguers, kids that don't even get drafted. Like you might have kids that throw 100, but they can't hit the broadside of a barn, and they're not going to make it. So like why risk that? Why waste money on that? And it's that, but again, like that's where it comes into the biomechanics stuff too. Like they're able to potentially help. I mean, I had a kid last year that throws 100. He's with the Angels organization now, and a couple tweaks, and he was in the zone. But like he got released from 2 colleges. Like it was crazy. But obviously my eyes, I saw something and I was able to help that. And now he's doing well with the Angels organization. And that's a great organization for pitchers to go to. Like they've helped him a ton. So, It's just you see things, and you hope when you get them in the organization, they can, help with whatever physicality stuff they need help with.
Okay, let me just make one further point before Joe jumps back in. The Dodgers, aside from their money, okay, they obviously tick a lot of boxes in terms of excellence. You can't be as dominant overall. I mean, they'd like to have won a few more World Series, but they're always in the conversation. And a team that either you love or you love to hate. But they do tick a lot of these boxes. What is it about the Dodgers, aside from the money? Because there's other teams that have money that don't do what the Dodgers do, right? Most of the teams have money. The question of the owners want to spend it or not, or how much they want to spend. But what are the boxes that the Dodgers tick that make them such a dominant organization?
Their development is next to. It's crazy. I've seen some guys go through that organization very quickly, and you see guys that probably weren't going to be anything that make it up as well. I actually was just at the Braves game the other day, and Teoscar Hernandez left me some field passes, so I was able to see those guys and see Teoscar, and he, you just watching them warm up, like the camaraderie that they have, the fun that they're having, like that goes a long way. And you're seeing it more and more around the league. Guys are having fun. They got the home run, chains or whatever it may be. But being loose and having fun, I think, plays a big factor in that. And, they got a lot of different personalities over there for sure in the big league side of it. And that definitely, seeing them all gel together was cool to see. But, it starts from the ground up, like down in the minor league system, like they're doing things the right way. And they're learning how to be big leaguers from the get-go. And I think that comes to play once they get up there for sure.
Okay. You mentioned Teoscar Hernandez, and I creeped social media here. It says you were Mike Trout there and all that. How are the players? You're saying you're a manager. Are they reciprocal, saying, "Oh, I can't believe you're a manager," or "Wow, you're going to be a great manager"? And number two is, how are the Jays treat you?
Honestly, like there's not much that talks about it. It's something that I really enjoy. It's something that I feel like I'm pretty good at. Obviously, getting into professional baseball would be the goal as a manager. And that's something that I've looked into for the last few years. Just nothing has come about. But, it's something to be said that, I still have buddies that I'm able to call and talk to. And, if there's any kind of like, say I need some kind of hitting stuff, Teoscar would have no problem answering the phone and talk to the kids. Like, he's such a good dude, right? So, just little things like that go far for me. But from my standpoint, it's just it's a fun thing. I love it. It's something that I enjoy doing, and I don't know why, but I see a lot of the game. And I was a pitcher in the big leagues, but in college I was a two-way, so I think that helps play the factor into that. But it's a game of fun. You got to have fun with it, and you got to get your respect from your players. I think that goes a long way.
All right. Can you teach Norm to throw higher than 40 an hour?
I bet he can throw higher than 40.
Right. And watching where you're situated, it's Julia serving there and all that. You're other sports, and what other sports do you like? We're in the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Who's your this year? Oklahoma looks good. Boston defending.
Honestly, I don't know. After Golden State won that first round, I got to go Golden State. Steph Curry looked good at the end of the game. He's that team's just they're very. There's a lot of good teams right now. Minnesota looked good. I think it's going to be a team that was not supposed to win is going to win. That's my goal. That's my guess. It's going to be a 3 to 6 seed's going to win, not a 1 seed.
Hey Jesse, I got to ask you. Especially living here and born and raised in Toronto, so the hockey passion not only in Toronto but right across the country, right? So, from a hockey point of view, the hockey people feel that the Stanley Cup is the toughest trophy to win. 4 rounds of playoffs, We don't, you know all about the game. We don't have to elaborate on that, how tough it is physically, et cetera, et cetera. But then you got football, basketball, and then the wear and tear of baseball with a number of games. As neutral as you could possibly be, and you're a baseball guy, so I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not picking favorites. I'm just saying, is that fair to say, or is it fairly objective to say that the Stanley Cup would be the toughest trophy to win in all of professional sports? Because I think every sport, they have their own, points to make about, well, and in baseball, you say the number of games you got to play, the very few days off you get, all that. So what's your take on that?
I mean, it's definitely, I've been around some hockey players. I mean, just putting it out there. What state has the Stanley Cup been in for the last couple? Just throwing that out
Florida.
there. Florida. But we've done well in Florida with that process. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I've been around some hockey clubhouses after the game, and man, you would never know it, but those places, they don't smell very good. And it just goes to show you the kind of, what they put into the games and into what they need to do. And they're tough. I wouldn't be getting hit by a hockey puck in the face for any means. So, and I know, it's a North American thing. So it's a little bit different. I mean, obviously baseball, you got the Blue Jays, but in hockey, you got multiple hockey teams that are up north. And, you could put any of the trophies into a hat. Obviously football, I mean, the life expend, like you're playing 2.5 years of football and that could be it, right? Like depending on what position. So like there's a lot that goes into everything. But that I've heard the same, the Stanley Cup is sought after. Obviously the World Series champ is, for me, because I was a baseball guy, is awesome. But anytime you win a championship, it's just going to be a good time for sure.
All right. So on that, I'm going to ask you, you played for the Blue Jays 2019. The Raptors won the NBA title. You saw it. There was like 2 million people here. What was your feeling when wow, Toronto, but look at the crowd, because that could have happened for the Blue Jays when you were pitching, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret that the Toronto fan base is very loyal. I mean, I've been to multiple Maple Leaf games, and I mean they're electric as it is, right? And playoff
You on
time.
the ice.
No, you don't need me on any ice. We don't have ice in Florida. You don't want me on the ice. But it's the fan base in Toronto has always been electric, and they're loyal. Obviously, they had a lot of down seasons, so seeing a championship come through there in any sport was going to be electric. And fortunately, it happened for the Raptors. Hopefully, it happens with some other organizations in the near future for the fans of Toronto. But regardless, making the playoffs is a big successful thing as well.
My final question, and then Norm will close it out here. From all sports, who's your favorite player to watch?
From all sports, oh man, that's a tough question.
Steph Curry.
I mean, I like Steph. I like LeBron, to be honest. Going like if I could pick, in each sport like differently, like I would go LeBron with basketball just because how old he is, still doing it. I love how Lamar Jackson plays football. He's just electric on the football field. Baseball, I mean, there's so many, but it's hard not to like Shohei right now. He's just a guy that everyone likes. But I mean, obviously, I'm a big Teoscar fan because he's a buddy of mine. But baseball, it's hard because I have so many. And then, I mean, in hockey, what Ovechkin's done is just nuts. So, I can sit here and speak about any sport, but like watching individual, like overall, I mean, me and LeBron are 03 graduation year, so I'd probably go with LeBron. And I know
you never mentioned golfing. A golfing game. You're in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I golf enough. Rory, I like Rory. I was happy Rory won, to be honest. I mean, he made it very suspenseful, but I was happy he won. So I've always been a Rory fan.
Okay, go on, Norm. Close.
All right. So just two quick questions before we wrap it up. One is, I remember hearing and reading, maybe you came across this also, Jesse, that some folks were saying that high school pitchers, I guess at a certain level of talent, were getting Tommy John surgery before they even needed it, thinking that, well, they're going to need it eventually if they make the majors. So get it while you're young and strengthen those tendons and ligaments that lead to Tommy John problems once you start your career. If you were speaking to parents who had elite level athletes who wanted to become major league pitchers, what would you say to them about having preventative Tommy John surgery? And yeah, I'm sure that must, for guys who actually pitched in the majors like yourself, that must lead to a fascinating conversation. And the other is your great friend Teoscar. What is it about him, aside from his God-given talent, that makes him to you such a special person? So just those two different questions, you could address them.
Yeah, obviously with the Tommy John thing, that just it makes no sense. Like, if it happened, it's a fluke accident. It's part of. I mean, throwing a baseball overhead is already an unnatural motion. So like preventing it is what it is. Like, you may or may not get it. And to be honest, there's been multiple that have had multiple Tommy Johns. So like, there's nothing saying that you're not going to get another one if you do the first one. So like, that just makes no sense to me. And doing it as a preventative thing of not doing it later, it just, like, the high school kid, if you're good enough, like, don't have it, because they're not necessarily going to come back from it either. Like, I know the success rate from it is huge, but like, it's not a thing that you need to do preventatively. I don't even, that answer just makes no sense. Like, if somebody came to me with that, I would just tell them no right away. Like, we're not even gonna talk, just no. That makes no sense. And as far as Teoscar, I mean, Teoscar hit at my facility for a couple years, and he was just genuinely a good person, a good dude. And like, he would stay after his hitting sessions and play, like, hit with my kids, hit with the 10 to 12-year-olds, 14, whatever team was coming in. Like, he'd stay out, hang out with them, and that goes a long way in the the game. I mean, I wish more people were like that. But his work ethic, I mean, if you sat there, like, he would hit from 2 to 4, 2 hours, no problem. And that's why he's so successful. That's why he made the money that he's made, because he was not necessarily the best guy, coming from Houston and then going to, I think he came to Toronto from Houston. Like, there's never been a year prior to, obviously, the last 5 that he jumped out. I mean, it was similar to Bautista, right? Like, their work ethic is why they are able to be as successful as they are. And watching him hit for 2 hours and not ready to keep going, like, that's what makes a big leaguer, and that's what makes him successful for sure.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Bautista, would you, looking back now, did you enjoy the home run bat flip in that playoff game? And I haven't seen too many guys do it in playoff games, but maybe I've missed something. It's like, I know it's probably overstated, and if you're a Blue Jay fan, you love it. If you're not a Blue Jays fan, not so much. If you're a Texas Ranger, obviously not so much. But do you have strong feelings about the bat flip, or is it just enjoy the moment and ride with it? If other people don't like it, well, that's the way it goes.
I mean, I think there's a time and a place for sure. I mean, that was a playoff game that was for a whole country. Like, I understand the process behind that one. I mean, there's some now where these high school kids and college kids and even pro kids are doing it, that it's just like Zach Veen, I think, did it in a spring training game. Like, what? Like, in that, when he got called up, that's all they're talking about. And it's just like, there's a time and a place for sure. And I don't mind it to that extent. Obviously, it better go over the fence, because there's been a couple that haven't gone over the fence as well, and they're bat flipping. But the old me would have been like, let's hit the next guy. The new me is like, is it deserving? And that's what I would have to read into it. And I think you talk to any of the old school like, you talk to Clemens, like, I guarantee he's like, we're hitting 3 in a row or something like that. Like, that's just, those are the guys. That's the mentality they had anyway. But they'll hit 3 in a row and get the next 3 out. Like, I didn't really have that capability. I had to make sure I got as much as I could get.
All right.
Awesome. Good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. You've been watching Around the Majors on the Fired Up Network. Jesse, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you social media wise.
Honestly, I forget. I think it's at Jesse Litsch on Twitter, or X as they call it now, and then on Instagram it's at JLitch6, and that's pretty much that's what I use.
So
But
is your goal to be a next Major League Baseball player?
I mean, obviously that's a huge goal. But yes, I mean that would be ideal. But even in the minor leagues or college, wherever, like just being able to have, that on the resume is huge. But like it's fun for me. Like I enjoy it. Like what I'm doing now, I enjoy. If I move forward, like I coach a bunch of 8-year-olds now. And we have a blast. It's been a blessing in disguise for sure. It's something that I've enjoyed a lot. I didn't think I would, but teaching the next wave, the game the right way is fun, and having fun while doing it makes it easier. But whether it's managing in the minors, college, pro ball, in some indie ball league, who knows? It's for me, it's whatever the road takes me, I'm ready for it.
All right, that's Jesse Litsch, former baseball player, Blue Jays as well, and he'll be on periodically through the Fired Up Network to discuss Teoscar Hernandez maybe hitting 40 home run and Guerrero hitting 12. But anyways, for Norm Rumack and myself, Jesse, it's been a pleasure again. Congratulations on the baby again, and hopefully you're the next manager of maybe the Blue Jays. And then maybe we'll get free passes there so you can teach them how to hit or throw the ball.
Never know.
Yeah,
Never know.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, thanks a lot. It was nice meeting you.
Yep. Likewise.
All right. So, Jesse, thanks. And we'll